Hello everyone, welcome to the Redmen TV. It's player ratings time after Liverpool beat Huddersfield by Mo Salah's goal to 0. I'm going to start with the goalkeeper, Alisson. I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. I know he only has to make one save. Interesting note, we started to do a little bit of what Manchester City did from goal kicks, where we left our centre-halves wide, but when he decided to kick the ball on a few occasions, we didn't push out. Other than that, you know, his kicking was all right, apart from that one sort of bananaed outside of the right boot one. Yeah, you got closed down by their centre-forward once as well, but I think having not... choosing not to Cruyff there was probably, that played into it from the Leicester game, didn't it? Whereas a Cruyff might have actually worked that time. But other than that, he was sound, wasn't he? You know, nothing really he could have done about the one that hit the post. I think he maybe had it covered. The free kick, I think he probably had that one covered as well. 7 out of 10, about standard for Alisson there. Joe Gomez, I thought, was really good. I've given him an 8 out of 10. You know, it's interesting just how quickly he's on to dangerous situations, and there was a couple of times there when we needed him to. I think that one where he gives a free kick away for his boot being about chest height. I don't know how that's a free kick, by the way. He decides to go and help the centre-halves out and leaves his man and goes and wins the ball. That's a good decision. The other one where they were running through and Gomez had to make a decision about whether to close the man down or close the pass down. He literally turns his back, notices the danger, goes out there, wins the ball cleanly, and obviously gets the pass before the assist for the goal, which is a great ball between the lines, gets Shaqiri in a little bit of space, and we go on to score from there. So, yeah, another good, solid performance from Joe Gomez, and it doesn't matter now whether he's playing right back or whether he's playing centre-half. He just seems to be a great fit in either position, and I'm really, really pleased with his development in a red shirt for us. Centre-halves, I thought they both played really well. I think Dejan Lovren, I've given him an 8 out of 10. Solid. I think he had a couple of different tests throughout the game. You know, when they bring Meunier on late on, the guy's trying to bring the ball down and hold him off, and he lets him bring it down, then he attacks his feet, wins the ball there. Really like the fact that he did that a couple of times. When he has to, he's aggressive in the challenge. I think he made about 11 clearances during the game as well, so really good from Dejan. 8 out of 10 for Virgil van Dijk, his partner. You know, again, loads of clearances, wins most of his duels. Isn't forced to make a tackle during the game, which tells you everything you need to know about his positioning. When he's drifting out to the left-hand side when he needs to, he's good. His passing's good. Just another good performance from the best centre-half in the league. Left-hand side, Andy Robertson. I've actually given him one of my lowest marks. Not because he had a bad game. I think he just had an average game. I've given him a 6 out of 10, and I sort of rate like footy manager ratings from back in the day, whereas a 6 is about average for me. Didn't really join the attack very well. A couple of decent crosses, actually, thinking about it now. But I've given him a 6 out of 10. Defensively, he was sound, didn't really need to do much. Onto the midfield, Jordan Henderson started the game in the 6. I've given him a 6. Yeah, just... I don't know, I just think... Again, just pretty average from him. Didn't really do too much going forwards. Did what he's supposed to do. Midfield, Shaqiri, my man of the match. I've given him an 8 out of 10. I thought, you know, the assist was superb. He looked the most dangerous of our players. He got shifted from position to position. Wherever he was, he seemed to perform well. He seemed to understand that role in the centre of the park much better than I expected, actually. Slightly different to the role he played against Southampton, where I felt he was the number 10. This time he was playing as a proper 8, and I thought positionally he did really well. And you know, you can give him a little bit of credit there for not letting the side down when he played that 8, an unfamiliar role for him. Again, when he's got the ball, his passing's good, he's tricky, he's shielding the ball well, he just seemed to make the right pass at the right time. James Milner, before he goes off, I thought he was good again, 7 out of 10 for him. Just everything you'd expect from a James Milner performance, really. Over on the right-hand side, I've given Salah an 8. Because he scores the goal, ultimately, and you know, it's a quick, right-footed effort that goes in. It's a great finish, isn't it? Right down to the keeper's bottom corner, and he's got no chance. And you know, there's another one late on in the game where he's on that left-hand side, he's on the edge of the 6-yard box. He turns inside and he works the keeper. Yeah, a sound performance from Mo Salah. On the left-hand side, Lallana started the game. I've given him a 7.5 out of 10. I thought first half he played at probably an 8. Second half he probably drops. He's tired a little bit, you know, in that second half, and you know, rumours that he goes over to Klopp and says that he's got his calves are both sort of and you can understand that from a lad who's not played a lot of football, but yeah, touches there. Really enjoyed seeing him back in a Liverpool shirt and not letting the side down, being the Adam Lallana that we were used to seeing from almost a year ago now, or maybe 18 months ago. You know, his touch, his Lallana turn, his bringing players in. Really good performance from him. Again, it would have been higher mark, but he did just tire a little bit for me. And Daniel Sturridge up top, probably a 7 out of 10 for Sturridge. I don't think he had a bad game. Didn't get into the box enough. Had a couple of opportunities that were high and wide. You could see what he was trying. He was looking for that top bin when he got it onto his left foot. He tried one with his right foot as well. And then the substitutes, Gini, I thought he did really well when he came on. Actually, strength, holding the ball off, picking the right pass, driving with the ball even from that 6th position. I've given him a 7 out of 10. Fabinho, some good, some bad from him. A couple of times he gives the ball away a little bit too easy. One time when he's driving with the ball, he sort of runs onto their defenders, brings players in. So we saw a little bit of good and a little bit of bad, and that's to be expected from a lad who hasn't had a lot of minutes, I suppose. Certainly, he hasn't had enough minutes for my liking so far this season, but we haven't needed him, which is absolutely great as well. And Firmino, I've given him joint lowest mark as well, 6 out of 10. It's funny, isn't it? We went to that sort of 4-2-3-1. I'll get into some of the comments in a minute, and Tom's going to get me started on that. But when we went to that 4-2-3-1, we created a lot more opportunities from the 20 minutes we were in that formation than probably the 70 minutes prior to that. But the execution wasn't there. And Firmino was part of that, you know, picking the wrong ball one time when maybe he should have gone Shaqiri on the left and he plays Mo Salah in on the right. And it's a pathetic ball as well. But you could see that it's not an area of the pitch he's played in recently a lot. There are signs that that could be something that Liverpool move towards. Anyway, I'm going to get into the comments, so Tom is going to get me started on them, and then I'll pick up some myself.
So Drew Peacock says, Lallana is useless out wide. The quality is clear, but he needs to be in midfield to be effective.
Who was that, sorry?
Drew Peacock.
Yeah, I understand what you were saying, and funny enough, we had a similar conversation. That's maybe why Tom pulled it out during the game, and I kind of theorised as to whether the reason that Lallana was played over on that left-hand side was maybe, there's a couple of reasons here, I suppose. The fact that it doesn't really seem to suit Shaqiri, although when he played out on that left-hand side, he looked all right, actually. Doesn't suit Sturridge, and it doesn't suit Salah. I also actually think the main reason was probably that because Lallana hasn't had a lot of football, you maybe give him a little bit more time and space over on that left-hand side than in the centre, in the thick of it, where they've probably got a couple of midfielders who are going to be tearing into him very quickly. Now, his performance would suggest that he would have been fine in those areas. When it was in a tight area, he'd turn out of it and look to get that little pass off. But I think that was probably the reason. I don't disagree with you, but I do think that was maybe the reason. Have you got another one for us, Tom?
I do, yeah. Fizzy C says, Fabinho was solid when he came on. Made a few good tackles there, I think.
He did, actually. There was one where he did the old go-go gadget legs, didn't he? And the leg just sort of came out. And there was a couple of times where you saw that from Fabinho. And that's what he's going to give you, isn't it? And then there was one over on the sideline as well where he gets the ball out of play. Again, a little bit of ring rust, probably more than anything for Fabinho, where he does give the ball away a couple of times needlessly. And that's probably why I haven't given him as high a mark as maybe he deserved. But yeah, no, I understand that. The Bonehead said, still unbeaten but playing without fluidity. I'm sure they can get it back together. There were times when players were thinking before passing instead of hitting it on instinct. Why is this, Chris? Mate, I have no idea why that is, but probably, you know, when you are lacking a little bit of confidence, you try and you do, I think, footballers do tend to overthink things, and it is when you play on your instincts and you're in good form and you've got confidence in yourself that you do good things without thinking about it. And I think another reason for that, the overthinking it, is there was 3 changes probably made before the kickoff into the starting 11. You know, we've not seen that front 3 this season, certainly with Lallana on the left-hand side, Sturridge up top, Salah on the right-hand side. The movements that players make are all slightly different to one another, aren't they? And when you get into a rhythm and you're playing with the same team week in, week out, you understand what they're going to be doing in almost every situation. And so because you're just with another person, you're not quite sure what they're going to do. Maybe you take that extra half a second. Sometimes at the top level of football, I imagine that extra sort of thinking time makes a big difference. So maybe that's the reason. Alex Harriman, bring back Harry Wilson and get Origi outside on left instead of Lallana. I just don't see that as being a viable option. First of all, I don't think we can bring back Harry Wilson. I think it's a season-long loan with no recall option. Secondly, Origi on the left is not a thing that I'd like to see. I think Lallana's a much better player than Divock Origi. So yeah, I don't know where that's come from. That's a strange one for me, mate. Fabinho to start against Belgrade, says Dara Wallace. That would be an interesting one for me. I would like to see him get some more minutes. I think, you know, we're getting to the point of the season now where he's played a couple of times for Brazil. He's probably not lacking too much match fitness. I think the pace of the Premier League is probably still a little way off for him in that he's not played loads in the Premier League, has he? You know, what is it, 30 minutes or something like that in Premier League action. So maybe giving him some minutes in a European game where the pace isn't quite so high and at Anfield could be a way to integrate him into this side and give him that little lift of confidence before you start having to use him in the Premier League week in, week out. So yeah, I know it's early, but what area are we going to buy a player for in January, says Luke. It is very, very, very early on that one, and I would suggest that if we are going to spend big in January, I think it's got to be an attacking midfielder. I think that's the area of the pitch that we're sort of lacking somebody right now. I know Paul probably disagrees with me. We were talking on the podcast 2 weeks ago about he felt it would be an attacker, a forward type player. But I really feel like that creativity in the middle of the park is sort of hindering us slightly when we're getting to the attacking third. I think, you know, I'd like to see somebody who's comfortable on the ball playing in that 10 position, and that's not to say that we have to play a 4-2-3-1, but a midfielder who understands how quickly you have to move the ball on, who can see that little slide roll through ball, something like that. And I think it probably suggests why Fekir was looked at in the summer and why we wanted Fekir is that Klopp maybe felt that that was an area of the pitch that needs strengthening. Now, it wouldn't surprise me if one became available, if we went and got someone like that, but equally it wouldn't surprise me if the calibre player wasn't there and available in January and Klopp waited and tried and did something in the summer. What are you laughing at, Tom, behind the camera, mate? I
realised Drew Peacock is, yeah, there you go. Good one.
Brilliant. King Mufasa just said Liverpool did not play today. Sam Webb says, do we rest Salah against Red Star? Probably if you can get somebody like Mane on the field. Tom's just giggling behind the camera there. We need Coutinho back in our team at the minute, says Owen Walsh. And I suppose that's what I was just talking about, isn't it? I think it's mad, isn't it, that we wanted someone like Fekir where really I would suggest that Coutinho was on a better level than Fekir, and it is something that, you know, we probably do need, that sort of attacking prowess in the final third, someone who's used to playing in those tight spaces and stuff like that. Now, Coutinho wanted to move on, we couldn't hold on to him, it is what it is, but certainly that area of the field hasn't really been strengthened, probably to the point where we had a player like Phil Coutinho. So there we go. That is the player ratings. I've done a few comments there as well. I'm about to record the instant match reaction with Tom if he stops giggling behind the camera. It's Drew Peacock. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to like the video. Do like the video. Please like the video. Share the video. Subscribe to the Redmen TV on YouTube. And I'll see you later on today for the instant match reaction. Ta-ra.